As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's alright. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.
Every Thursday night, you ask the questions, DT gives you his answers. No holds barred.
It's Q&A with Don Tony. This is your chance to speak your mind and be heard about anything.
Q&A with Don Tony. And now, your host, Don Tony.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thursday night, 4 days in a row. I am back. Much love to all of you. Shout out to everybody who is live. This is Q&A, the mailbag, Ask DT. Trying to get my spirits up. You know, I know a lot of you know tomorrow is the big day. The CAT scan and the ultrasound will finally figure out what the hell is causing this pain over here. God, I think 1:45 p.m. tomorrow. So we'll see how it goes. I won't know the results till next week. Hoping. I think I know what it's going to be. Anybody that saw my test results from about 2.5 years ago, when I got that little cancer scare about 2 years ago, they found a lot of cysts and a lot of growths on my kidneys and on my liver. And I have a feeling because, I don't know if anyone out there has ever had this problem, but, right underneath my rib cage on the right side, if I bend down or if I go to turn to my left and bend down, I literally feel a little bump pop out on my right side, and I literally have to get up and rub it and try to stretch, and it disappears. And when it happens, I have my fiance, my mom, and others, I'm like, here, feel it. And they're like, oh my God, what is that? I have a feeling that one of my cysts might have grown, and it either needs to be drained or it needs to be removed. That's what I'm hoping that it is. But all I know is that this pain is not supposed to be. That's why, like I say, sometimes when you see me doing a longer show and I do it with Mish, you'll see me go like this a little bit. Not because I'm trying to be lazy, but because it kind of relieves this pain. So we'll see what happens. And look, I'm not telling you this for everybody to send well wishes. I do appreciate it. But the only reason why I say this is because sometime in the near future, you may have something like, what is this pain? Why am I getting this? Or you may know someone, just in casual conversation, may bring something like that up and say, hey, I knew this podcaster guy, the fat Italian guy, Don Tony, he had the problem and this is what it is, blah, 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 blah. So, all right. How I am. I'm a very big stickler to quality. So let me just fix this. All right. That's a little better. Yeah, that's better. So how's everybody doing tonight? We're going to have a fun Q&A. And I apologize. I don't have any of my Indy Wrestling stuff to share tonight. I don't have any Captain Lenny stuff tonight. So basically, it's going to be a little bit more of a quicker, Q&A. Whatever's on your mind, we'll talk about it. We'll have the contest. And I promised you the picture. Here you go. Here you go. Somebody tonight, unless you want cash instead, somebody tonight is going to win this signed NWO trunks. There it is, signed by Eric Bischoff. And, when I said yesterday that the quality is pretty damn good, I'm pulling it inside out. It's stitched. This is the inside. It's stitched. And I know that's actually the Warrior in WCW, OWN. A lot of people didn't realize that the Warriors, OWN was the reverse of the NWO. A lot of people to this day still don't even know that, but it's stitched. So it's pretty damn good quality. But like I said, Eric Bischoff, there's no pictures of him actually wearing it. That's the actual picture of him signing it. I want to thank Authentic Signings Incorporated for hooking me up with this a while back. And by the way, I got one I'm going to share with you. A lot of you DM me over the week and like, DT, don't forget. Well, I kind of forgot, but I got the next best one for you that I think you'll really get a kick out of. It's not a thong. You remember, this is a great, you remember when Scott Hall and Kevin Nash first went to WCW as the Outsiders, and Scott Hall was wearing the black trunks that just said Hall in red lettering? I think he also wore them in TNA. It's the same type of trunks, just NWO stitched on them. But, look, whoever wins it tonight, if you don't want that, you could take cash instead. We could spin the wheel, pull the balls, whatever you want. Oh, and somebody asked me too, what is this? That is, because you know me, I have tons of license plates. I mean, I was going through my collection, and here's Big Worm from Friday. This is not Bray Wyatt. But, that'll be coming up there soon. We even got one for The Simpsons, Itchy and Scratchy Land. And then we got others. But that one, do you remember when Hulk Hogan in 1999 in WCW announced he was going to run for president? That's the original license plate that they were selling when Hogan was running for president. I kid you not. So that's the license plate in the background over there. But, if somebody tonight wins and doesn't want the Bischoff trunks, I'll give you cash instead. Now, if it's a little darker in here today, it's only because I have this light off. This way I don't sweat my balls off during tonight's show. But, before we get into anything, we'll wait a couple of minutes. I'll show you something with Terry Funk. You'll get a kick out of it. Shout out to Roger Rubio. What's going on, Roger? Roger. Oh, that's Courtney from last night. Shout out to Courtney, too. His dad gets the second Moderna shot tomorrow. He gets his on Saturday. Any tips of what you should be expecting with the second shot? First off, best of luck to you. Best of luck to your dad. This is exactly what happened with us. Me, when I had my first shot of Moderna in January, you might remember I whined like a little bitch on the shows. I think I did it on a Thursday. And I came up here Thursday night. I had the chills. I had a little bit of fever that night, headache. It lasted for about a day and a half. Then it went away. The second shot, I had almost nothing. No symptoms whatsoever. My mom and my dad, but then again, they don't like us worrying. They said they had no symptoms both times. For all I know, when we weren't in their house, they could have been like, oh, this sucks. But they said they had no symptoms. My fiance, she had the second shot 2 weeks ago. In fact, this Saturday is her Freedom Day. And the first shot, she had a little headache, but she was hungry. And like extremely hungry. And that's not, from what I understand, one of the symptoms. But the second shot she had 2 weeks ago, which was Moderna, she had like 100.8 fever for about 3 or 4 hours. But The fever broke quickly. She felt crap pretty much for one night, and that was it. That was it. So, you know, it happens, you know, the symptoms are different to each person. I had so many people saying to me, oh, if you thought the first shot was bad, wait till you get the second shot. The second shot, it's even worse because your body's already created antibodies and now it's flooding it with more shit and your body's gonna be like, what the fuck is this? You know? Me, the second shot was a lot better than the first. But congrats to you. And, you know, much love. And I'm telling you, everyone, I know I sound like a broken record, but you know I've been saying this since last year. June is the month where we're really, really going to see this pretty much the beginning of the end starts. It's not going to end for a couple of years, but June is really going to be the month where you're going to see a lot more states lifting their restrictions. WWE had a conference call today. They released their financial earnings for the first quarter, and they said that they're going to return to live shows in the second part of 2021. I mean, that's common sense. That's pretty much, but, you know, everybody was feeding you that, oh, they'll never return to house shows, which is just stupid. But, you know, when you just do the math, I mean, now if you pay attention to the news and you could get past all of this horrible stuff going on, more and more people are now confronting these doctors and they're saying, wait a minute, you know, if I'm fully vaccinated, you know, why do I still have to wear a mask outdoors? And they're really dodging it. They're really not telling you what's going to start happening. And mark my words, what's going to start happening next week or two is you're going to start seeing people ask one question. How many people in studies have shown that once they're fully vaccinated and they pass their 2-week freedom day, how many of those people have been reinfected and carried the virus and gave it to others? They're not going to answer that question. I guarantee you they're not going to answer that question. I don't follow politics anymore. I hate politics. And I see all this shit going on now, you know, with everything has to do with black and white. You know, I mean, look, I obviously had it a little bit better than others out there. There's no denying that. But I was brought up that you treat everyone like you're equal. You know, I wasn't alive when Martin Luther King Jr. was around. But the one thing that everybody talked about is you don't judge people based on the color of their skin. You judge them on the content of their character. Now it's the reverse. Now if you saw the controversy with the schools this week. Now if you're white, like you have to have a guilt trip from the beginning that you immediately had some, you know, extra privilege. And if you're black, you know, it's almost like you're being taught that that person has more than you and you should resent them. I'm looking, and I told everybody on Patreon Tuesday, I said, be prepared for later on this week about that unfortunate killing of that 16-year-old girl. Yes, she was wielding a knife. You know, me, I'm one of those that, you know, nice rubber bullet, you know, I guarantee it would have done just as much damage. I don't understand why, you know, there's no option for rubber bullets. That's something I've been saying for a while. You know, but you see these people out there and LeBron James doxes the police officer, you're next and this and that. I mean, I'm not going to rip LeBron or anyone else, but you see what's happening here. Tell me what role model out there, white, black, straight, gay, man, female, you know, doesn't identify with either. Name me some role models that are trying to bring us together. Everybody seems to be causing more hatred. You look at Chicago and you see hundreds and hundreds of people getting killed, and they said that 400 kids have died this year from violence. Or I think earlier this week, a 13-year-old stabbed another 13-year-old and died. I mean, you see what's going on. Nobody talks about any of that stuff, you know, but everybody the first person they call for help is the police. I mean, you're making it where people don't want to be cops anymore. And you're going to have cops that are going to think twice, and they're going to, oh, but if I do this, then this could happen. And they're going to not do what they should be doing. And then additional people are going to die. You're going to see cops. There are bad cops. This Chauvin guy, let him rot in jail, this motherfucker. That is exactly what we've been talking about for about 10 years. There's a lot of cops that have this power grab, this ego, and that's been taught for decades. It's no longer serve your community. You know, this cop, and remember, the other cops are still going on trial. They thought that George Floyd was on drugs. So you're supposed to serve your community. You know, and if you have a guy that's passing a $20 fake bill and he's extremely paranoid and nervous, and yes, on Monday morning quarterbacking it, but he's resisting and he's all freaking out and everything, and you think he's on drugs, even more of a reason you don't put your fucking knee on a guy's neck. But again, when you saw that one guy saying he's digging this, that Derek Chauvin, look, I swear on a stack of Bibles, I don't know any Derek Chauvins, but I know people who are cops. My nephew is a cop. My nephew's not even a cop for 2 years yet, and last year he got hit with a brick in Manhattan. Wants to move to Florida. Doesn't like it in New York anymore. But I will tell you that in my lifetime, I have been friends. I've come across people who are police officers that I knew personally, and some of them, it went to here. That power can be very dangerous. Not that you're looking to hurt anybody, not like you're looking to overpower people, but when you realize that you are this much higher on the food chain as far as power goes, sometimes it goes to your head, you know? And some police officers, you talk back to them, you know, how many times you've watched cops or live PD and others that, you know, officer, why did I get pulled over? License and it's happened to me with my black Lincoln. I've been pulled over 7 times with that car in 15 years because, you know, it just looks like a car that's up to no good. But how many of you out there, not just black, but how many of you out there been pulled over by a cop and the first words out of your mouth is, officer, why did I get pulled over? And do they give you the answer? License and registration. But officer, why did I get pulled over? License and registration. But officer, if you're not going to comply, I'm going to put... They don't fucking tell you. They don't just... It's like a power struggle. You know, because you're answering back, it's a power struggle. And that happens a lot, man. And I'm telling you, you know, we need politicians... We need celebrities. We need athletes. We need people to talk about love and bringing people together. And all I have seen in the last 2 weeks is even more fucking hatred. And all these news, you saw what happened with that girl. They edited the 911 call on NBC to try to not bring up the fact that this girl had a knife and threatening to slash people. You know, they omitted that. And now they apologize. They did the Hogan. They apologized because they got caught. But you see what's going on. They don't cover all the crazy-ass violence in Chicago. You know, when you live in a neighborhood where there is crazy-ass violence and gangs and drugs, and there's not much hope, you're like, what stops hatred? Love. Getting along with people. It's no longer, look, we need to come together. We need to stop this. We need to address the neighborhoods, address this. They care more about fucking Ecuador and El Salvador and Mexico and all these other countries of why they're coming to our country illegally. They're more concerned about trying to improve other countries than our own fucking neighborhoods. I swear to God, I thank God. Seriously, I thank God I got no kids. I got no kids because I don't want my kids growing up in this country, seriously. I fucking hate it. I hate it. There is nobody out there trying to bring people together. Nobody. Virtually nobody. Everybody is fucking silent about it. And it's ridiculous, man. I'm sorry for venting a little bit, but, you know, I see this stuff on the news and it's like, my God, I'm getting sick and tired of watching cooking shows on YouTube, you know? So it's not good. This is not healthy. You know, imagine going to school and you're a black kid sitting next to a white kid, and you're being taught in class that whites are this and then this and that. Now imagine the white kid that's like, I just want to learn and be with my friends. And you got this guilt trip, and you don't even understand why you have this guilt trip. And then you go to these neighborhoods like what you see on TV with that girl with the knife and everything like that. And then you're in COVID, and then you can't do this, and then you can't do that. And the parents appear to be absent. That kid that got killed last week, that was 16 years old. If I was out at 3:30 in the morning at 16 years old, my father would break my goddamn legs when I came through the door. You know, everybody's leaving all of that out. Instead, it's the cops. It's the cops. It's the cops. Well, soon enough, cops are not going to show up anymore. I don't know. And you know why they're doing it, the news? Because they need revenue. There's no more Trump talk. Can't blame it on Trump. No more Trump talk. So how are you going to get people to keep tuning in? Keep sensationalizing and stuff. Don't cover the 13-year-old that stabs the other 13-year-old. Don't cover this person that kills this for 6 people shot in Chicago. No, but we'll cover the one cop that saved the girl in Pink's life. I'm not big on pro officers. I'm big on pro good cops. There are bad cops, and they deserve to get fried. But my God, you see this shit going on TV, and now you see it on social media, and now you see it everywhere else. It's not good. It's not healthy for any of us out there. So I will shift right back to wrestling. Crazy Cruiserweight brings it back into focus. My honest opinion on if MLW being on Vice will make them de facto number 3. No. I'll be surprised if MLW does more than 80,000 viewers, 100,000 viewers. MLW, look, you know, some people said that ECW was a small company that got too big, and then some people will say the ECW got too big, or they were too big and got too, so you know what I'm talking about. Like, you know, you don't want to be a small company and then put in an environment where you got to be a big company when you're still small. And the reverse, if you're a giant company and you're not dragging in that revenue, look at Scott D'Amore. Scott D'Amore. I like Scott D'Amore. Scott D'Amore is doing a great job in Impact Wrestling. He did an interview today hyping up Rebellion. And what does he say? Oh, now because COVID is starting to get, we could bring back TNA if we want. You could bring back TNA. The fuck is this? You know, Global Force is here. Global Force is gone. Global Force is back. Global Force is gone. Moose declares himself the TNA champion. We don't recognize the belt, but we unify the belt. And Swan walks around with the belts, but it's really not a legit belt. And then it's gone again, but it could come back later on. Holy shit. Talk about falling back. My God. I mean, just get your identity and stay with it. Oh, we could bring this back. We can bring that back. We can do this and we can do that. We can do this. What do you think? NXT had their Thursday show. Trying to remember. No, what was night 2 of TakeOver. Night 2 of TakeOver. And Impact Wrestling, they went to Thursday. And Impact Wrestling did a great number. They did like 168,000 viewers. Going up against TakeOver, like, wow, it's pretty damn impressive. The following week, the press conference. I think it was the press conference. Or maybe it was the week before. I think it was the press conference. Yeah, it was the press conference. They did 30,000 viewers less. Unopposed. Unopposed. So, you know, you could have Mara and Allo call a match, and that's good. You know, and you can have Jim Ross make a little appearance on Impact and everything like that. But it doesn't go past the fact that for 3 months, this storyline has been milked and milked and milked. If that storyline was a cow, the cow would have no tits left. It would have no breast milk left. They milked that for 3 or 4 months, and the most logical, smart thing that they should have done in goddamn December is have Rich Swann try to show up in Jacksonville. try to get at Kenny Omega, and he's not allowed in the building. They had a main event. I think it was Lance Archer and Jon Moxley. I think they might have teamed against Kenny Omega and somebody. And you think, no DQ, anything goes, or whatever it was. Oh, Rich Swann, that's the night he shows up. Remember the Motor City Machine Guns were supposed to team up with Rich Swann, and then one of them teammates couldn't appear, for personal reasons? No. Something as simple as just making us feel like, wow, in storyline, Rich Swann is trying to get his, no. Jacksonville is, they don't let, Impact Wrestling go anywhere near. What the fuck is that? Seriously. You're going to do a storyline like that, and you're going to milk it for 4 months, and we're supposed to give a shit? Marinello's calling it, oh, that's nice. It's what? That's why I think, like I said yesterday, I close my eyes, and I picture Kenny Omega with 3 belts. 3. Because Rich Swann is still walking around with 2. You think Rich Swann is going to walk around with 3? Rich Swann, the belts will make him fall. Kenny Omega is going to have 3 belts, I think. Or they're going to do the usual clusterfuck finish, because that's what happens when multi-promotionals have title versus title over the years. So Impact Wrestling, I still feel, is default number 3. And that's not changing anytime soon. And when you really break down Impact Wrestling's roster, they got a damn good roster. They just need to just tighten it up and not take something that should be a 2-month storyline, try to stretch it into 4 or 5 months. Because I don't care if Morrow is calling it or not. I don't care if Jim Ross hypes up the match or not. I don't care who does it. They did a pathetic job hyping this up for the last 4 months. And now because there's a press conference, oh, now I care? It's no. Sorry, just my opinion. And look at the ratings. Look at the ratings. Look at the 1,000,001 of AEW fans. Let's see how many of those 1,000,001 decide to watch Impact tonight, because in a couple of days, Kenny Omega could possibly hold the Impact Wrestling title. If they do 150,000 viewers again, guess what? AEW fans don't give a shit about Impact Wrestling. That's your problem. Stop thinking about Tony Khan. Stop thinking about Mauro Ranallo. Stop thinking about Tony Schiavone, Jim Ross, Kenny Omega, Matt Hardy, Private Party, this, and that. Worry about Impact Wrestling. Oh, we might bring back TNA. For what? 5,000 extra viewers? You could bring fucking Santa Claus. I don't even think, seriously, I think if CM Punk showed up, I think you would get a huge jolt for 1 week, and then after that it wears off. Because it's Impact. Look at WCW's roster in 2000 and 2001, right before they shut their doors. There was a pretty damn good roster. They had a lot of bright stars of tomorrow, and they still lost tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars. You can have the greatest roster, but if the presentation is not good, and you try to cut shortcuts, and you try to do this and do that and do this and masquerade it, people could figure it out. So, Big Armada, what I was saying before, it doesn't help that most politicians, celebrities are nothing but hustlers for contrast. Sure, they all have their private security. They all have police officers. They have walls and gates so nobody could get onto their premises. Hypocrites. Somebody pointed out to me today that Facebook, in their tech area, what percentage of black workers they got? 1.7%. That means 98.3% of all the tech workers in Facebook are not black. Hypocrites. You know how many times you have noticed this? That the loudest people, especially the loudest men that were against, like all this sexual abuse and was so hugely, very weirdly outspoken, like obsessively outspoken about hashtag Me Too. And you find out they're the biggest violators of it. Animal abuse. You see some people that are a little bit over the top with it, and then you find out that they have a history of animal abuse. There's a lot of people out there that when they're overly sensitive on certain topics, most of the time you find out that, there's some skeletons in the closet and they try to divert the time. He could never be that. Him? He could never be that. Got a bridge to sell you. Edwin G. What's up, Edwin? Edwin, I got your email earlier. I think I emailed you tonight. I emailed a bunch of people tonight, but much love, my friend. He was at the World Trade Center on 9/11. Yeah, that was scary, man. I mean, I know I showed you all the picture, of my father with Hillary. The plane crash right after 9/11. That still is just surreal. And what is really even more surreal about it, not trying to take away, the tragedy. If people go back to me with my hotline days, my ex-girlfriend worked on the 44th floor, I think it was, World Trade Center Association. That's who she worked for. And she was missing for like a day and a half. And we had broken up already, and I had not spoke to her a while. It ended up that she was fine. But still, that was just crazy. And me, obviously, I've told the story. I had a bow rider at the time. Me and my friends came up with this crazy idea that we were going to drive the boat and go from Howard Beach, Queens, all the way down to Manhattan to see what was going on, just out of curiosity. And 3/4 of the way there, Coast Guard made us turn around, and we got lost. And scariest I've ever felt in my life. Thinking that we were going to run out of gas and be in the water, and that was it. But it just blows me away that this year is the 20-year anniversary of it. 20 years. A lot of people have died from breathing in all that toxic, air from all the debris. And, I hope you're okay. Because, you hear over the years, police officers, firefighters, military, regular employees, you hear them coming down with horrible illnesses. Just really, but it's just amazing that it's 20 years already. I still remember everything that I did for those first 2 or 3 days. I remember clear as day going to my office at like a half an hour, 45 minutes late. I didn't know if I should go to my office, and I remember the telephone's not working. And I went to my office, and there were a couple of customers there, and we were just like in shock. We went up this little bridge that goes between Howard Beach and Rockaway Beach, and we saw like smoke, just like shades of smoke. You couldn't see anything from where we were. But I remember it being a little bit brisk. I remember it being really, really sunny, and that's why we all thought it was terrorism right at the beginning. Not, like, oh, yeah, I called it. No, it was so goddamn sunny. It's like, okay, you got to be the worst pilot in the world to hit that tower in beautiful sunshine. Maybe the sun got in his eyes, and then the second plane hit. Then you realized right away, holy shit. And it's just, it's rough, man. And as wrestling, and I'm sorry for downplaying this, to this day, even though I can't stand Todd Gordon, to this day, I defend Todd Gordon that I think he did not know what had happened. But I will never forget this guy, Vinny G. I still got to show you pictures of him. He's the guy that always dressed up like Michael Jackson. But he did a hotline interview the morning of 9/11 with Todd Gordon. And everybody's talking about terrorism, the towers coming down and thousands of people killed. And what was this like in ECW in 1993? And we ripped it to pieces. It was just surreal. It was really fucking surreal. Then the plane goes down, 2 weeks later, 3 blocks from my parents' house. You can't make that shit up. It's just horrible. But I thank you for your service, and I hope that you haven't experienced any, not just physical, but psychological. I can only imagine. But this guy's a hero, everyone. Seriously. So I thank you. someone did talk about switching gears. Some Crazy Cruiserweight says, if someone did the Mike Awesome fat chick thriller gimmick, would it be a problem or seen as a heavy-set woman deserve to be? Well, you might get that a little bit with Angel Garza. You know, they may do a storyline where they talk about Nia Jax's weight. That could happen. And again, you know, I'm not taking credit for it, but, you know, it's worth bringing up. And I brought it up twice already this week. I'm sure some people are taking an aspirin like, oh, please stop bringing it up. But last year, when they first started doing the thing with him with the rose and everybody was talking about Eva Marie, I said, you know what? They should do the Shallow Hal movie and let Angel Garza fall for Nia Jax. Everybody's like, no. Let's see where it goes. Could end up nothing. It could end up to absolutely nothing right now. Nia Jax could start to be hit on everybody. You know, she's the, not the ladies' man, the men's lady. I don't know how you would call that. So, you know, speaking of ladies and heavy girls, man, Shock G died today. Digital Underground, 57 years old. I mean, anybody that's been on my Patreon for a couple of years, there's a couple of people that will always say, hey, it's the 20th anniversary of this album and this and this and this. And I have talked about Digital Underground so many times in the past. And, you know, Shock G, you know, most people out there will remember Shock G from the Humpty Dance. You know, do the Humpty Hump, do the Humpty Hump. I can't do it. But, you know, Digital Underground was a lot more than that. In fact, Shock G co-produced, I think, Tupac's first album. You know, I think he was involved with I Get Around also, that hip-hop. But, yeah, he discovered Tupac. But, you know, 57 years old, man. But, you know, everybody remembers, like I said, the Humpty Dance, you know. I'll eat up all your crackers and your licorice. Hey, fat girl, come here. Are you ticklish? Oh, come on. But, you know, what about the song Do What You Like? You're heavy, you want to eat? Do what you like. Eat what you like. You know, if you kiss me, then I'll kiss you back. You know, trust me, I was a big Digital Underground fan back in the day. A lot of people are surprised when they get to know yours truly a little bit, like, wow, this guy really was in a lot of old school hip hop. Just imagine me, 300 pounds, 17 years old, trying to breakdance in Woodhaven, Queens on cardboard, trying to do spins and up rocks. And it, very embarrassing. That's why I don't dance anymore. If you see me do this, probably took a Percocet earlier in the day. But, yeah, he died today, 57 years old. So I was hanging out tonight for about a half an hour just listening to some Digital Underground to get myself in the mood a little bit. You know, hey, yo, Twix, are you ticklish? But, look, we're obviously in a different era now, so I don't know how much you could do Mike Awesome's gimmick. But, you know, there's no reason why you can't do a storyline with weight. You know, it's entertainment. If you could do fucking wrestling could do movies with ripping out people's eyeballs and this and that. I mean, you could do anything pretty much on TV with storylines. You know, it doesn't have to just be, you know, like regular person A, regular person B. You know, you could go there. You could go there. I mean, I know you're always going to get people that'll get in an uproar over it. So you would get some backlash, but you're an entertainment company. If you get a little backlash, oh fucking well. Ted Turner, tell us about the MSG Network. Did it air every month? If you're talking about wrestling, MSG Network was awesome for wrestling. In fact, no, that's not it. I don't have it hand. Oh, yes, I do. I still have this. I don't remember who told me to get this. $100. It's still sealed in the box. I got to hook this up. I have hundreds of VHS tapes of stuff that I recorded in the 80s and the 90s in the early 2000s. And I obviously would not monetize it, but what I'm going to do, and yes, I will review the tapes first. I'm going to take a tape, put it in a VCR, and we're just going to sit back and scroll through it and see what I recorded back in the day. But I can't tell you how many times I'd hit record because ECW was on the MSG network. And then it became Prime. Late at night, it would be the Prime network. But ECW, if I remember correctly, aired at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to stay up many times till 2 o'clock in the morning. So I would go to sleep early. So what I would do is I would take the VHS tape and I would hit record on like 6-hour speed or 4-hour speed and go to bed. And then I would, sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night because I would hear in the background, "Oh my God!" And then I wake up and that's it. But what would be cool about it is you would get like repeats of Yankee games. I remember when Dwight Gooden got his no-hitter in 1996. And anybody that's a New Yorker say right now, DT is not exaggerating this. Every other fucking commercial was, "Congratulations, Doc." He'd be like this. And I'm a huge Doc Gooden fan. I wore the shirt a couple of days ago, little tribute. But MSG Network for wrestling was spectacular. Loved ECW airing on it. Loved when they had the shows. It would air, I don't want to say exactly every month, but especially in the 80s, MSG would have an event and it would be from the Garden and you would get to see it. I mean, and they had some commercials, but still, I mean, the fact that you were able to see Madison Square Garden events, that's why when I finally got the opportunity to go to the Garden, it was surreal. I mean, it was just magical. But if you couldn't go to the Garden, because look, my grandmother, and a lot of you have seen pictures of her, she was very heavy. And, I'm not going to cry. I mean, I could look back and smile on this one. But one of my memories of my grandmother when I was a kid is my grandmother, she never drove. She didn't know how to drive. And she lived alone. She was very heavy. She was about 5'2". She weighed about, I'd say, 200 pounds, maybe even a little heavier than that. I mean, I'll post a picture. You know what? I might have one handy. I have a personal photo, a folder here. Do I have one? Probably don't. That sucks. I have pictures of everybody else in my family except for her right now. Unless, because you know me, I'm always persistent. Usually if I'm very, I found it. Okay. I swear to you out there, I hope I'm not boring anyone. I swear to you out there, when I say to you that my grandmother is the reason why we're doing this show right now, it's not a joke. She's the one that got me into wrestling. Her brother, God rest his soul, worked for WWF at Ridgewood Grove Arena, so we got not only into the shows for free, but we would sit front row. But my grandmother, me and her were like this. I was closer to my grandmother than my own parents at the time. Here's a picture of my graduation, if you haven't seen this before. All right, that is me. On the left is my father's mother, my grandmother. She did not speak English. She spoke maybe 2% English. Everything was Italian. My mom at one time was a twig, as you could see. That is my mom to the right to my left on the picture. And to the right is my grandmother. She adored me. I adored her. But you could see, I mean, look, I've told this before, and I don't even need to look at her hands. You could see the arthritis in her hands. She was very, very heavy. But, one of my earliest memories was she would take buses from her house to come to our house. And the bus would leave her about 2.5 blocks, very long blocks from my house. And, I'm almost 6'4", VJ. I always thought I was 6'2" until I went to a doctor about 1.5 years ago, and he took my height, and I saw him write down 6'4", and I said, "How tall?" He said, "You're about 6'4". just to drop under 6'4". I'm like, are you sure? I was always 6'2". I mean, when I was very heavy, when I was 365, I thought, okay, maybe I got an extra inch or two of fat underneath my feet. But he took my height. It was like just a drop under 6'4". But so anyway, my grandmother would get off the bus and she would walk this really long ass 2.5 blocks. And one of the blocks was a hill. It was like really raised. So when she would walk, I can't do this reverse, but if she was up here when she got off the bus, she would walk down one of the blocks and you could see her literally 2 blocks away because she would walk so goddamn slow. It would take her probably half an hour to walk those 2 blocks. And once in a while I would say to my mom, can I go? You know, and she would be like, go ahead. And I just run up the blocks to see her. But, you know, she got me into the wrestling. And, you know, she was a godsend. She was a godsend. Crazy Cruiserweight also says, rest in peace to Terence Clark, who was 19. Oh, yeah, I think something came through tonight about him. They were talking about him being a top prospect in the NBA. Crazy ass shit, man. Crazy shit. You know, it's just one after the other. Bad shit. But, you know, but like I said, as far as wrestling with the MSG network, just back then being able to go to wrestling shows, and my grandmother was the one that would get me into wrestling. I mean, it was just surreal to go to the Garden. And then, you know, back, it was 1990. It was 1989 and 1990. I worked for a Jewish deli. I was the first Italian, I think the only Italian ever worked there. And you want to talk about prejudice. You know, I could only imagine what some of my black friends out there have gone through in their lives. But, and I'm not trying to compare it, but you have no idea what it's like for an Italian guy, especially someone that looks like a Guido in 1989, working for a Jewish deli and having people to your face saying, can I have Mel? Oh, yeah, no problem, no problem. And I'm thinking, oh, she wants Mel to slice her cold cuts because he's always helped her. No, it's because I'm not Jewish. I could honestly say, no disrespect to my Jewish friends out there, but I can tell you, in my lifetime, it's not even close. I've come across more Jewish people that took offense to me being Italian than anything else. It's just, you would have no idea some of the shit that I went through. I dated a girl that was Jewish. I dated another girl that her parents were Jehovah's Witness on top of it. I snuck into her house at 2 o'clock in the morning to fool around with her. They found out about it. They wanted to put bullets through my legs. Crazy shit. But how we got off of that about MSG, I don't know. But MSG Network was awesome, man. The ECW stuff, I got to honestly say, was more of a bright spot. And the cool thing about it is I have a lot of those VHS tapes still. So I just hit record, whatever aired. And what was funny about it is if you stood up and you watched the MSG Network and would turn into Prime when ECW would air, at 3 o'clock in the morning, if you couldn't go back to sleep, what would you watch? Shop at Home with Don West. Barry Bonds! Look, everybody, Barry Bonds! He fucking ripped, oh my God, I'll never forget him selling all those Mark McGuire, like USA Olympics or whatever it was, the play, and look everybody. I know we're going off topic, and I know I've told this story before, but I got to share it now about Don West. I have an appreciation for Don West now, but for a very long time, I hated the motherfucker because I realized how much he scammed people on Shop at Home. If we had Twitter and Facebook when he was selling some of his shit online, I'm telling you, that place would have either been shut down, heavily fined, or he would have been sued tremendously. I will never, ever forget, and I have it. You know me, when I tell you stories and I say that I have proof of it, I may not get to it right away, but I eventually show it. Wait till you see this. Wait till you see that. One time, I was watching Don West late at night. He was selling. Now, anyone out there that's ever collected any type of sports cards, if you know what PSA graded is, okay, keep that thought in your mind. He was selling uncut sheets of baseball cards, and he did it with some other Southern hick. Hey, everybody, look at this. Little uncut sheet. And I swear on my mother, I swear on my grandmother, I will never do another show again if I'm lying. Don West actually said on TV, you could cut these down and have mint condition cards. You could cut them down with a scissors. And I'm saying to myself at the time, I'm like, wait a minute, that's got to be like the ultimate fraud, because if you perfectly cut the cards down from an uncut sheet, you could send it to PSA, get it graded 10. Barry Bonds, 10. This motherfucker actually told people you could cut the cards down and you could have a perfectly centered card. Oh, and what about the swords? Any of you out there, did you ever watch Shop at Home back at that time? I have Shop at Home on video. I have tons of footage. Oh, and I put it up. Hopefully they're out of business because I don't want any copyright strikes from Shop at Home. Any of you out there ever remember back then? All I remember is the knife show. I just imagine every terrorist out there just watching Don West and some Southern hick. It's the knife, look, the katana, the knife show. They actually had knives for 3 hours. Look at this. You could cut some, you could skin a deer and blah, blah, blah. I'm saying to myself, oh, look at this. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm sure by now there's some YouTube clips of some of this stuff from Shop at Home, and there are other channels, and I know there's QVC and the other network that's escaping me right now, but that was insane. This guy rips on, and you know what the best part about him was? When he was on TV, we only have 40 left. Shop now, 40. And you would call the automated line. We only have 10. You call the automated line and you would type in the item number and it would say, how many would you like to purchase? And sometimes we would type in 50 because he would say on TV, we only have 10. And then 20 minutes later, we have 10. And then another 40 minutes later, we got 9. They would never sell out. They would go down to 5, but it would never sell out. And you would call the automated line and you type in a bigger number, and that'll be $3,862. Don West, I mean, I don't know if he's ever done an interview and admitted that, yeah, we kind of exaggerated a lot on Shop at Home. That son of a bitch exaggerated like you wouldn't believe. Holy shit. I mean, I guarantee you, he has hung out at some barbecues, had a couple of beers, and just said, oh, you remember those days? Barry Bonds. Oh, God. He fucking scammed people. Holy shit. I got to go through those VHS tapes. I'm telling you, maybe next week I'll whip out the VCR and start going through them. Harris B., would Sean O'Haire's devil's advocate gimmick work in wrestling today? He feels like Karrion Kross would do it justice. No. I know why you say that, and it's not bad. Karrion Kross, I think the reason why people compare it is Sean O'Haire came across as very intelligent. He was very well-spoken, and he was very convincing, and he had an aura about him. People didn't realize in personal life how fucked up it was. Karrion Kross doesn't come across like the devil. You understand? Like Sean O'Haire, I always interpret it as the devil. It's okay. It's okay. You're married, but it's okay. You could cheat on your wife. You got needs. You got needs. You're not going to leave her. You're still going to take care of your kids. I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. It's all right. You can take a little bit. You're not hurting anybody. Everybody takes a little bit. It was temptation. That's what Sean O'Haire was. He was temptation. Karrion Kross is not that. Karrion Kross is not manipulating and turning people's minds into doing. Sean O'Haire was the devil. That's, to me, what his character was. To tempt you. To try to justify all the things that you shouldn't be doing, but you want to do it, and he's trying to give you a good reason why you should do it. But at the end of the day, you're not supposed to do it. Karrion Kross is not that person. Not even close. But yeah, it's like, I was watching the Married with Children episode the other day. Remember when he had like, who was on his left shoulder? I don't remember who was on his left shoulder, but I think it was him. And then on his right shoulder, he looks over and it says blah, blah, blah. So it's like the devil on your shoulder. The devil's trying to tell you what to do. Oh, that episode of Married with Children is hilarious. Blah, blah, blah. I did not get blah, blah, blah from that. So, I did not upload the photos from Italy. I apologize. I will definitely do it next week. I promise you. The funny thing is I have some on my personal Facebook page. I could probably just upload it now. But next week, I promise you. Next week I will. Am I going to watch the Mortal Kombat movie tomorrow, Sean? Maybe. I think Saturday, more inclined to do so, because tomorrow I got my ultrasound and CAT scan. Then for everybody who's a channel member, I have everybody's questions and the audio all ready to go. Tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to record it when I get back. I was going to do it today, but I figured, you know what? Since we're going to do the show tonight, I don't want to overload everyone with 2 shows in one night. So tomorrow, I'll put up that Q&A. The members only Q&A. Michael Gonzalez, I saw most of Godzilla versus King Kong. I personally didn't like it. Only because I never really liked King Kong movies and Godzilla movies. I remember as a kid watching the King Kong, the black and white movie, where you could see that you could tell that it's fake. The Godzilla movies, the only memories I have growing up was watching them, I think, on Channel 5 on a Saturday afternoon, and it would all be in Japanese with subtitles, and it would be Godzilla, and it was these movies, I think, came out in the early 70s, and he would be like a good guy. He'd be going up against all these evil, and you'd watch the TV, and if you weren't like looking at the subtitles and you weren't paying attention, and I'm like, I don't understand any of this. So I never really got into it. But I will say this. From the movie itself, very well done. Very well done. I mean, the effects, phenomenal. I mean, that's one thing about today's age with computers. I mean, you could dish out some killer effects. Sometimes Godzilla versus King Kong Bundy would kick my ass. Bundy would kick my ass. In fact, you know what? Getting the splash from Bundy was a good finisher. Mish and I were talking about that. I think it was Monday, right? Was it Monday or was it Patreon? Somebody asked us if we, what finishers from wrestlers we would love to take, and we were talking about everybody's finishers over the years. And I told the story that on one of the wrestling events that I have on video, I could have my head shaved from Brutus Beefcake. He came in for one show and they wanted someone to get their head shaved, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. But then I had already turned into a good person, so it really didn't make sense. So they got this other manager. I don't remember his name. It wasn't Vinny DeGuido, but it was another guy. And, Brutus put him to sleep and then cut his hair. And it's on video. And I told Mish earlier this week, I'm like, to this day, I am so pissed off that I did not do it. Because, when you get 5 years later, 10 years, 15 years later, and you get older and you don't have that opportunity anymore, trust me, it would have been one of the most ultimate memories to put on video to show all of you me getting my head shaved from Brutus Beefcake in the ring. So I would love to take Bundy's splash. Hell, I'd take Yokozuna's. As long as I didn't, get seriously injured from it. By the way, some of you mentioned Mickie James earlier. I will give you my 2 cents about that in a minute. I have pictures. Edwin G. Oh, you're very welcome, my friend. You don't have to super chat for that. Much love. Seriously. Yeah, I agree with you, man. A lot of unsung heroes that were there. a lot that are no longer with us. Trust me, every few years when they start deciding if some benefits from the 9/11 fund and other funds, should they continue or not, and there's always like, I don't know if they purposely do that, because you know how some people are. Like they'll tease that they're going to take something away. This way, when they don't, they come across looking like a hero, i.e. Mario, that's his father. Cuomo, look at Cuomo. What's going on with him? Everybody said that he was going to be impeached. I said a couple of months ago, I said the closer we get out of COVID, then he starts lifting restrictions. Everybody's going to think, he's not so bad. He actually, this was a very unforeseen circumstance, and Trump fucked up a lot of it as well. And he's going to get away with, I don't know what he did as far as the sexual allegations, but the nursing home stuff is tremendously fucked up. But he's going to get away with it. He is going to get away with it. I mean, trust me, when you see the announcements coming in a couple of weeks, de Blasio is trying to take all the credit now. De Blasio sees, he's like, oh my God, look what's going on with Cuomo. Everybody hates Cuomo right now, so I'll go against him and I'll look like the good guy. De Blasio, to me, is 100 times worse than Cuomo. But they tease like they're going to take something away. Like I said, with this 9/11 funds, every few years you see it's being reviewed. And you got people to this day still with us, but suffering. And in the end, they let it continue. And then you look back and you're like, they never were going to take it away. But they want people to feel like, my fate is in your hands. Oh, thank you for doing that for me. Thank you for doing that for me. Telling you. Crazy Cruiserweight, yes, again. Rest in peace, Terence Clark. I'm going to look into that story after the show is done tonight. Very sad, man. Very sad. Don't know any of the details as far as the car accident goes, but trust me, I know firsthand about car accidents, and you see some tragedies over the years, what shoulda, coulda, and didn't happen because of tragedies. So, Edwin remembers around 86 on Channel 68. Yes, NWA, UWF. Home Shopping Network, that's what it was, Channel 68. In fact, I'll go one up with you. My earliest memory, this is no joke, everyone, my earliest memory of watching wrestling is not 1979 when I was at my grandmother's house. I've told that story before. Like, she had wrestling on and I was a little kid and I was curious what she was watching. I came home and told my mom. She's like, you're not watching that. Then I wanted to watch it more. But my earliest memory of wrestling is, I think, 1976 or 77. And I was home and it was late at night, and I had a black and white TV, and I was changing the channels, and I didn't know. I was a little kid. I had no idea. And you'd have the UHF channels. You turn to UHF, and you'd have, I think, channel 25, channel 31, which I think was WNYC. You had channel 41, 47, and 68. I think those were the channels. And I turned to channel 68, and I remember a very fat Mr. Fuji. I remember he was wearing like the lighter trunks, and he was heavier. And I watched it for literally 2 minutes, and I changed the channel. Didn't know what I was watching. Did not realize, but for some reason, always remember, it was either 76 or 77. A very, not very heavy, but a much heavier Mr. Fuji. I think he might have even been teaming with Professor Toru Tanaka at that time. But I do remember going on Channel 68 and trying to watch a little bit of wrestling and the scrambled stuff and Home Shopping Network. You know what show would always pop up? Anybody remember the show Uncle Floyd? Never watched it. Never liked it. Never got into it. But for some reason, it never escaped my TV. Like every time I would put on like 68, maybe because of the WHT network, Uncle Floyd would pop up on my TV all the time. And I'm like, no, and I just keep changing the channel over and over again. But I never got into NWA and UWF very, very early on. Got into WCW a little bit more, but that was TBS. So, but Channel 68 for me, it was other content. King of Games, 405. Do I think Vince McMahon should consider retirement since there's been reports he doesn't want to do interviews or investor calls? He was on the investor call today. He talks very little. See, the thing is, the investors know how much Vince McMahon's involvement is right now. Vince McMahon is a lot less involved in the creative department. Everything still runs by Vince. But I'm telling you, I mean, we all know Triple H hands-on NXT, but Triple H is a lot more hands-on for the main product as well. So Vince McMahon is one of those that unless he totally loses his faculties, he will work until he is no longer with us. And if he becomes a detriment to the company, you will tell by the finance world. You will tell by the investors, the stockholders. Those are the ones that speak. Like I said, you got all these people on social media with, that Mickie James stuff is between Mickie James and Vince McMahon. But they'll tweet fuck about it 10 times first. Then once they get all those likes and the fix, their little fix, they feel good. Then comes, this is really, not a big deal. It's not really a big deal. Now, to be honest with you, I guess King of Games, and I'll stay on the Vince topic in a moment. The biggest buzz going around today was this. Mickie James got her items from WWE. It was shipped to her. Now, shipping items is no big deal. When you are fired from a company, you usually, 99% of the time, they don't allow you. Can I clear up my desk? Can I go to my desk and take my things? Can I say goodbye to my fellow workers? Can I do this? No, you cannot. You are escorted off the premises. It's nothing personal. It's just business. And that is it. We will send you your belongings. Or you can have somebody pick it up at the front desk tomorrow. So Mickie James having her items sent to her is nothing different than any of us have gone through. The problem is if you look at it closer, it is a trash bag. And somebody who works in the office for WWE, it is not a creative person, it is not a wrestler, it is somebody who worked in the office. Their job was to gather the belongings for the wrestlers who were released and ship it to them. And Mickie James got hers today, and it was a garbage bag filled with her stuff. And honestly, that is offensive. To just throw it in a garbage bag. Most of it was outfits. And I know some of you out there, if you've gone to the laundromat, I'm sure some of you at some point took your dirty clothes and put it in like one of those tall kitchen garbage bags and brought it like that to the laundromat. So, if we did it ourselves, that's one thing. But for WWE, who just released people, just takes their stuff and puts it in a garbage bag and ships it out, that's pretty classless, to be honest with you. Now, in defense of WWE, Stephanie, and there was some confusion early on because Triple H posted a little explanation, but there was no apology in Triple H's statement. But at the very same time Triple H posted something, Stephanie posted this. I am embarrassed you or anyone else would be treated this way. I apologize personally, and on behalf of WWE, the person responsible is no longer with the company. Now, I know what a lot of you are going to say. If Mickie James would have never posted that photo, would Stephanie and Triple H apologized? And the answer is probably not, because they probably would not have even been aware that their stuff was sent in garbage bags. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't, I've been in the office environment for pretty much 27 years now. Okay. Now I've had some interruptions because of some of the stuff that happened to me, with my accident and everything. But I have been let go from employers. I was let go from Chase Manhattan Bank, and they escorted me off the premises. I wasn't a threat. I wasn't going to kick anybody's ass. I wasn't going to shoot up the building. I wasn't going to break anything on the way out. I just said, can I get my things? No, you cannot. Security has to escort. And that was it. They let me out of the building. And then I think the next day they let me go to the front desk and everything was in a box. Now, I am not defending. I swear to you, I'm not defending the person who was fired from WWE. The only sense that I could make out of that picture of the garbage bag is they released quite a few people. And I am just thinking that the person, didn't know what to put this in. Like, they put it in a box, obviously. It was a FedEx box. But the person probably thought, I'm not going to just put an outfit and shove it inside the box. Let me put it inside a garbage bag so it's protected. You understand what I'm saying? I know this sounds like I'm defending WWE, and I'm not. But I can tell you with utmost honesty, this thing, if somebody wins it tonight, this Eric Bischoff sign NWO, trust me, it's going in a Ziploc bag. I want to put this inside a bag so it's protected from the elements, and I ship it out. I'm not going to wrap it in tissue paper. I'm not going to put, like little cute little teddy bears on it. No, I'm going to throw it in a little plastic bag and ship it. So I know, because people are angry at WWE and they're angry about some of the releases, that they're looking for any reason to get even more pissed off at WWE. And that visual does look fucked up. But I truthfully believe that the person, let me say this, I truthfully believe that the person who sent this, let me move it over a little bit. I truly believe the person who sent this, when they wrote that label, I don't think they were like, I can't. Can you imagine her face when she sees that we just treated as garbage? No, I think the person probably thought, I'm putting it in a FedEx box. Let me put it inside a bag so it's protected. I don't think there was any malicious intent whatsoever. Zelion says Mark Carrano was fired. Are you sure about that? You sure about that, Mark Carrano? I will tell you this. I go by the motto, I don't want to be first, I want to be right. Mark Carrano is, if you've ever seen like Total Divas, you know who Mark Carrano is. I mean, he's one of the higher ups in WWE. But I don't think that, let me put it this way. I know SoFlyBmOrE said Mark Carrano was the one who sent that trash bag to Mickie, and he was fired today. Well, no, the reports that he sent bags to Maria Kanellis, listen, Maria Kanellis, if she was that infuriated, oh no, you could still see me. I thought I was cut off. Maria Kanellis chose not to show the garbage bag when she was first let go. So obviously it did not offend Maria Kanellis all that much. Maria Kanellis, and look, I like Maria, so I'm not trying to shit on her. But Maria Kanellis has said a lot of negative things about WWE over the last year, and so has her husband. The fact that a garbage bag filled with her items was never brought up, she was not upset by it. But I will say this. I go by the motto since 1997. I don't want to be first. I want to be right. So if Mark Carrano was let go, I will find out if it has to do with this. I'll look into it. But I don't think there was any malicious intent here. I really believe that. And I will say the fact that WWE did fire the person, maybe there was a little bit of sarcastic humor attached to that. Because, like I said, no joke. I would ship something in a bag to protect it inside the box. So you put it inside a FedEx box. I mean, you know, like, I could understand why somebody would do that. But if somebody gets fired over that, there's got to be more to the story. It could very well be. Now, look, I have no idea if Mark Carrano is involved with this. But let's just pretend like he was. I don't think Mark Carrano was the one shoving the FedEx boxes. But I could picture a scenario, you know, Mark Carrano has assistants, you know, hey, you know, blah, 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 you know, get their stuff, ship it to them. And I could picture somebody saying, Mark, what am I going to put it in the box? All I have is garbage bags. Yeah, put it in the fucking garbage bag. Throw it out. I don't care. Like, I could see something like that. But, you know, if somebody shipped me clothes, items of mine, and it was put in a bag before it was put in a box, I don't think I would be offended by it unless everything was thrown in there like garbage. See, that's the thing. I'm not accusing Mickie James of anything negative. I swear to God, I'm not. But we don't know if the shit was just thrown in there. You know? If it was just, look, if I broke up with my fiance right now, I know for a fact I would take a garbage bag, throw her clothes in it, throw her precious moments, throw this fucking thing in there. You know? It's pretty cute. Throw this in there. Just take everything, her perfume, just throw it all in the fucking bag. And then put it outside my house and say, go ahead, tell your brother to go pick it up. I throw everything in the bag. Now, obviously, she opened the bag and saw just everything thrown in there. I'm treating it like garbage. But we don't know what was inside that bag. We don't know if everything was individually wrapped. We don't know if it was just shoved in there like garbage. All she did was show us a bag. And honestly, if you put it in a bag and then put it inside a box, I honestly don't see that much wrong with it. So there's got to be more to this story. There's got to be more to this story. So, Austin, I'm not defending WWE at all. That looks shitty. That looks really shitty. Especially you put a sticker on it, Mickey. You see where I'm going with this. Just close your eyes for a second. Seriously. Look at this. Okay? It's got Mickey's name on it. I could picture that office with a whole bunch of garbage bags lined up with Post-it notes taped to each one. Mickey, Chelsea, you know, Tucker, Tucky. I could picture it lined up in the office and just putting all the bags alongside with this Post-it notes. Oh, this is Mickey's. Throw that in a box. So it doesn't look right. But like I said, there's got to be more to this story. And when we get it, then I'll talk a little bit more about it. But getting back to the Vince McMahon stuff, you know, I don't think Vince McMahon had anything to do with this stuff, with the bags or anything like that. Vince McMahon, I personally think, you know, is not going to go anywhere. You know, if you want to check out the conference call he did today, he said a couple of words, but, you know, Nick Khan took over immediately after. Nick Khan is the guy right now. So Vince, you know, it's going to be up to the investors, you know, at the end of the day. It's not going to be up to social media. It's not going to be up to you and I. It's going to be up to the investors and, you know, obviously the McMahon family themselves. But look, let's be honest, man. you're turning record profits in the COVID era. You know, something that everybody leaves out. This is what you got to understand, too. About 2.5 years ago, when I had my cancer scare, I started, and look, I got a lot of debt and credit cards, but I also started putting a little bit of money aside away for retirement. I opened an IRA, bought a couple of stocks, and I still have most of them. And I'm trying to build a little nest egg because I don't know how much longer I could physically do stuff, you know, with my office and everything. So I want to have a little nest egg left over, you know, so I could try to live a little comfortably. So this money keeps getting reinvested. So when you see WWE, it's not just, oh, record profits from the Saudi Arabia shows or the deal with Peacock or, you know, their revenue in the show. No, they invest crazy ass money. They reinvest it. They invest and reinvest and reinvest and reinvest. So when Vince McMahon says today that he feels he's got the greatest management team in the history of World Wrestling Entertainment, when you see how strong the numbers are, how do you disagree with that? So when you say, should Vince step down, there's nothing other than political correctness. There's nothing that would make you think for any reason for him to step down. You know? That's how I look at it. So, okay. We've been going an hour and 21 already. So, I know we're not doing the wrestling indie stuff tonight. I know we don't have Lenny stuff, so we'll get ready to do the trivia contest. Now, if you tuned in yesterday, I gave you a little sneak peek as far as what the topic will be for the trivia contest tonight. I will tell you now so you can start thinking about this person in case you weren't tuning in yesterday. The topic for today's trivia contest is Eric Bischoff. If I'm going to give away Eric Bischoff signed pair of tights, I'm going to use Eric Bischoff as the topic. Now, I promise you the Eric Bischoff, the trivia question, has nothing to do with AWA. I don't expect anybody really to go that far back, but it will go back possibly as early as WCW. Could go back to WWE, could go back to TNA. Just focus on those three. Has to do with Eric Bischoff. So it's not that hard. We'll do it in a couple of minutes. Now, I wanted to share this with you because a few of you reminded me this week. You'll appreciate this, especially since Terry Funk, people have seen lately, unfortunately, with his arthritis and everything. I know a lot of you out there have seen this picture before. Now, if you zoom in a little close, you'll see, oh my God, what is that? Is that fur? I had a hairy chest at that time. That's gross. Disgusting. So anyway, this is a picture of yours truly with Terry Funk and Cactus Jack from 1998. There's a guy in the background with a Steve Austin Jackass shirt and everything. And I've told this story before. Now I got a little proof to back it up. Back in 1998, I became a little friendly with Rob Feinstein, our video. And at that time, I had a gigantic wrestling magazine collection going back to the 70s. And it was just sitting in my house. And I said to Rob, Rob, you want the magazines? Maybe you could sell them, enjoy them, do whatever you want. I don't want nothing in return. I sent him a box of hundreds of pristine wrestling magazines for free. Now, this is 1998. This is years before, LOL, or pretend you said you were 13 or whatever it was, 18. Rob Feinstein is good people. I know there was controversy back then, and that did not look good, that video. But I've talked to him over the years, not personally, not that much, but, and Rob Feinstein will tell you, if I bump into him, and Mish will tell you, because of the big event last year, I bumped into Rob. Hey, Anthony, what's going on? I know Rob pretty well. Rob Feinstein is not bad people. I'm telling you. I know, like I said. But anyway, in 1998, I had sent him a ton of magazines. And I had told him in one conversation, because I used to go to ECW shows. That's how I met him. I used to go to all the ECW shows. So he knew Terry Funk was my favorite. So he said, we're going to have Terry Funk and Mick Foley at a mall in Pennsylvania. Why don't you come down? It's okay. So me and my fiance at the time, we're not married anymore, obviously, we drove from New York to Philly. Now, at that time, Cactus Jack and Terry Funk, Chainsaw Charlie, were the WWF Tag Team Champions. Not all that long, but they were the champions. So they were doing an autograph signing. So I went down to Philly. I got to hang out with them. Then I got to eat lunch with them after. And it's like, my fiance that I was dating at the time, somebody else, I got married to her, got it annulled, erased, but she was not a wrestling fan. But I know she was pretty impressed that, I'm hanging out with these guys. She knew who Mick Foley was, and I'm having lunch with them after, so it was pretty fucking cool. So anyway, this is funny. Terry Funk, later on in that afternoon, was going to do a shoot interview with our video. And Feinstein told me, he's like, look, if you want to call in and ask a question on the shoot interview, call in during this time. So if any of you out there ever check out the Terry Funk shoot interview from 1998, you will hear yours truly talking about the NWA title. It's pretty funny. I mean, my question was kind of goofy, but there was some circumstances behind it. So now, after having lunch, I drive back to New York. On my way back, I get into a road rage incident with a guy. The exit before where my house is, guy cut me off, I cut him off, almost had a tremendous car accident. Fuck you! No, fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Him and his wife or whatever is in his car, and he's following me all the way to my house. We pull up in my house, and one day, if my mom ever is in the same room with me, and I say, Ma, come here for a minute, I'll bring it up, and she'll admit that this happened. My mother walks out of the house. She's like, what's going on? My ex and this woman are ripping each other's hair out. Huge cat fight in the street. The cops are called. They put me in handcuffs. They put the guy in handcuffs, the two women in handcuffs. Everybody agrees not to press charges, and they leave. Now, for a long time, I shit bricks because obviously they know where I live. So after all this happens, I call Feinstein up. And I said, Rob, is it too late? He's like, no. Call this. I'm like, you're not going to believe this. And I told him, and my mom was in the room, and I'm like, Ma, am I lying? And she's like, oh my God. Like, it was not a funny thing, but I almost got arrested. Road rage incident. So I get on and do the shoot interview. So now everybody knows that when I got engaged, I got this giant box from Terry Funk. Branding iron, shirt, tons of photos, like 7 different photos, a 2-page handwritten letter from Terry Funk. It's surreal. Like, it's amazing what this guy sent to me. But the most hilarious thing about it was he found out about what happened with me with the road rage incident. So he sent me this. Let me take the picture down. And obviously this is not forged because, first of all, you're not even going to be able to find this picture anywhere. He sent me this. Anthony, had a great time with you in Philly. Stay out of jail. Terry Funk. Tell me that's not epic, man. That is epic. That he sent me that in 1998. Had a great time with you in Philly. Stay out of jail. I didn't take the 2-page letter out of storage yet. So when I do, I will show it to you. Talk about like the odd collectibles like WWE is doing on TV. I got some odd ones from Terry Funk. But how cool is that your favorite wrestler of all time, you get to have lunch with him while he's a WWF Tag Team Champion. You almost get arrested from a road rage incident. You still do a part of the shoot interview, and then you are surprised with a photo in the mail. Had a great time you in Philly. Stay out of jail. Come on, man. I know I will put it in the frame. This is a little too small for it. But you see, everybody, I'm not trying to be a jerk right now, but I'm not stupid. As I get older, I get a little more wiser. Now I understand why so many podcasters out there, and even people that were around me with the wrestling stuff, why they never pushed me to show all of this stuff. I think there is so much jealousy out there because all some people have are tweets. They'll tweet themselves into sounding like superheroes, but at the end of the day, they're just sitting at home with their big belly, just sitting there and just pigging out like, what lie can I make today that makes me look like a superhero? I've actually gone out and lived all this stuff, and it's amazing. It's amazing. All the stories. And again, I've told this story about the road rage stuff at least 10 times over the years. And I fucking going through my stuff last week. I'm like, look at this. I found the photo. So now you get to see a little more proof. So I figured I'd share with you. Figured you got a kick out of it. Anyway, you want to do the trivia contest? Why don't we do the trivia contest? Okay. Once again, I'm giving this away. It is a pair of NWO tights. It is signed by Eric Bischoff. That is the actual tights that he signed. I got this from a collectible place. They actually hooked, it'd be nice if I show the right side. They hooked me up with some pretty cool stuff. I have some other stuff that I'm going to be putting on here that's pretty cool. So whoever wins this today, you have a choice. You can either win, take the signed Eric Bischoff tights, or if you are not interested in that, you could win a prize instead. What I can do is we have this infamous wheel. By the way, I forget who won last week, but I emailed you earlier today for your PayPal address. So I think you won $90 last week. We could spin this wheel twice, and whatever the prizes land on, it's yours. Or I have the lottery balls behind me, and they're numbered 1 to 100. We'll pull 2 balls out of that. We'll add that up. Yeah, Harris B won. He won $90 last week. Harris is going to get a PayPal later on tonight. But so it's your choice. You could either take the tights, wear them, put them in a frame, sell them, do whatever you want. Or if the tights don't interest you, we could give them away again next week instead. And you can have either 2 spins on the wheel, 2 balls, or 1 spin, 1 ball. So I'm going to give you a trivia question. I will tell you right now, there are 4 answers. This time, you do not have to put the first and last name for each wrestler. You could put one name. We can tell if you got it right or not. You don't have to spell it perfectly, but you have to post all 4 names. All right, all 4 names. 3 is not enough. Whatever I ask you now, you got to post all 4 names. The first person that posts all 4 names will get the prize. Now, James Costa, Regilio, and others who are hanging out on Facebook right now, if you want to head on over to YouTube, you got literally a few seconds, you have a shot too. If not, we'll do it. And I have the chat room log on the screen. Oh, and by the way, I think starting next week, we're going to start having some new overlays. I have somebody, teaching me how to do some of this stuff. Nobody really is trying to, teach me anything. I got one person who reached out to me. He's a really cool guy, and he's teaching me, crash course. Plus, we're going to be debuting Zoom soon. If you know the AEW Heels concept with, 20, 30 video boxes on the screen, we're going to do our own version of AEW Heels. Difference is women are invited as well to mine. I don't care if you're fat, skinny, white, black, straight, gay, doesn't matter. your family here. So when we do that, we're going to have some impromptu Zoom conversations where we're all going to hang out. I will be doing some shows in the near future, bringing on some guests. Connor from OKFabe, Chaos, Mish, obviously, and some others. So we're going to start expanding this a little bit, and then very, very soon we'll be doing calls. So this channel is going to get a lot more interactive, and I truthfully believe when it gets more interactive, that's when you're going to start seeing a lot more people signing up and hanging out. So I'm excited. I don't want to rush it, but I want to do it the right way. So enough of my ranting. Let's do the contest. I'm going to give you a trivia question, and in the chat room right now, you have to type 4 answers. There's 4 wrestlers. You got to have all 4 right or nothing. Now, if the wrestler's name has changed over the years, that's okay. I don't care which name you give because we know who you're talking about. So, very simply, Eric Bischoff has had quite a few matches in his career, more than you'd be surprised how many he's had. I want you to name for me right now the 4 active wrestlers in, well, no, we'll go 3. Give me, actually, you know, do 3. Give me the 3 active wrestlers in AEW that he's beaten. 3 active wrestlers. Can't choose Jim Ross. All you got to do is just 3 answers. Just give me 3 wrestlers who are active in AEW right now that he has defeated in his career. First person that gets it right. Nope. Al Snow, Cody, but John Cena and Teddy Long are not in AEW. You got to give me 3 people who are currently wrestling in AEW. Nope. Kazarian and Daniels were on the same team, I believe. You're close, though. Franklin Tangelo, you're close. But if it ends up that... we will check it. We will check it like right after this. But you're pretty close, though. I don't think... Because Kazarian and Daniels, I think they might have been on the same team. All right, so far. Some people have gotten like 1... Okay, I know Franklin is saying Cutler, Daniels, J. Buck, Cutler. Well, right now we'll have like Tangelo on standby, but I will tell you, you could leave Daniels and Kazarian off of there right now. I got to double check that because not Jericho, not Dustin, not Cody. Some people are getting very close. It ain't Sting. I'll give you a hint. It was the 2 matches are tag team matches. He was on the winning tag team. VJ, I don't believe he's ever beaten the Big Show. Okay. All right. Now we can hold. All right, now we can hold. Sam says Max Buck and Jeremy Buck, Generation Me. Generation Me, who you know is the Young Bucks, and Matt Hardy. Now, what I am going to do right now is, because Tangelo may actually have won this, is I am going to pull up his match listing again, just to be sure. Hold on. I got it right here. Okay. Kazarian, no, okay. He never beat Frankie Kazarian. I had a feeling I was right with this. Eric Bischoff never beat Frankie Kazarian or Christopher Daniels. They were on the same team in the Lethal Lockdown. He never beat them. So the winner actually is, let me scroll back. Who is the one that said the Bucks and Matt Hardy? All right, hold on. Let's see. Okay, no, not Cutler. Let's see. Oh, we're getting close. Here we go. Sam got it. Jeremy Buck, Max Buck, you can see right here. See, I have it highlighted on the top. There we go. The Young Bucks and Matt Hardy. Now, here's the matches in particular. As far as Matt Hardy goes, it was 2003. This was the storyline when Matt Hardy first split with Lita. It was Lita teaming up with Matt Hardy, taking on Eric Bischoff and Molly. And what happened was Lita was in the ring and was going to fight with Eric Bischoff, and she went for the tag to Matt Hardy, and Matt Hardy ducked. And then Matt Hardy cut a promo after saying that Lita was only thinking about herself. She came back from the neck injury, stood on Raw, won the women's title. Matt version 1 was in full force. So it was Eric Bischoff and Molly. They defeated Matt Hardy and Lita. So Matt Hardy is one of the wrestlers. And then in TNA, on Impact back in 2011, it was an actual match. Eric Bischoff and Matt Hardy beat the Young Bucks. They were Generation Me at the time. And if you ever watch that match, it is the drizzling shits. So, Sam, you got it. I knew it couldn't have been Kazarian and Daniels because that would have stuck out with me immediately. So they were on the same team. But Matt Hardy and the Young Bucks is the answer. So just so you know, I'm looking at his match listing in front of me. These are the people that Eric Bischoff has defeated in his career. He defeated, he defeated Ric Flair, Starrcade 98. He defeated Ric Flair, Starrcade 98. He defeated Terry Funk for the hardcore title. I think a lot of people forget that Eric Bischoff was a hardcore champion. Defeated Terry Funk. I think that was on Nitro. He beat Jim Ross in 2003 on Raw in a no DQ match. He beat Trish Stratus in a no DQ match in April of 2003. He beat Shane McMahon in a no DQ match. A lot of no DQ matches on Raw 2003. He defeated Kane on Raw August of 2003. The tag match, like I said, him and Molly versus Lita and Matt. Him and Matt teaming up against the Young Bucks, Generation Me at the time. And then he beat Jeremy Borash in 2012. So, so that's it. So, Sam, here's your question, Sam. You want the tights or you want the spins? So, wait, why is Lion? Oh, wait, you just want to give it to Lion? Or did Lion actually win it? I don't think Lion won it. There's Sam. It's still highlighted over here. So I'm going back and I'm looking at Lion. Look, if he wants to give it to Lion as a gift, that's very nice of you. But I'm looking back. I don't see Lion. Lots of awesome wrestling stories. Yeah, Lion wasn't. What's the deal with Lion? If you want to give it to someone, that's very kind of you. Fine with me. So, but just let me know. While you're doing that, Jay Carlos, that graphics card, email me your shipping address again. I'll send that graphics card out. I have a NVIDIA, like 980X. I'm building a new computer, everyone. Every Tuesday, I go to the parents' house. I also do it on Saturday, but I don't do shows on Saturday all that much. But every Tuesday, I go to the parents' house, and I don't have video over there. The computer I have over there is very, very shitty. So I am now building my own computer. It's a little hobby, and I'm going to soon be able to do video on Tuesdays as well. So anyway, so Sam, what did you decide? You want the tights or you want to go for some moolah? So whatever you want is fine with me. Yeah, no, Jay Carlos, it's cool. It's cool. I'd rather look. It's like I said. I posted the eBay link earlier. It's still $200, even used on eBay. I'd rather see someone be able to use it. You know. Sam says he'll take the spins. Okay. No love for Bischoff's tights. Oh no. You know what that means? Next week, we'll do it again. That'll be the prize up for grabs next week. And remember, I didn't even say. Next Thursday, Mish will be joining me here. Mish and I will be doing a whole AMA mailbag Q&A. So Mish will be joining me, and same format. Might do a little of the wrestling stuff too. In fact, I might put the Lenny stuff on just to watch Mish's reaction to some of that whacked out shit. So yes, Mish will be joining me next week for Q&A. So you join me next Thursday, 10:05 p.m. Eastern. So he wants the spins. All right. Very cool. So here's the deal. As you can see, there is a $100 one up here. You got some that have an extra spin. So what is going to, I know there's a little bit of like a reflection. I'm sorry about that. It's because of the lighting. But you got this right up here. So here's the deal. I'm going to spin the wheel twice. Whatever it adds up to on the two spins, that's yours. If it lands on a free spin, because you see like $5 in a free spin, $10 in a free spin. If it lands on a free spin, you get an extra spin. So you could keep going if you want. So I know last week I inadvertently had the screen blocked. I spun it, and I'm like $25, and I'm like, oh shit. Then nobody saw the spins, and then I re-spinned it, and it came out to $90. So good luck, my friend. Let's spin it twice. Let's see what you get. So whatever it lands on, I'll put it at the 100 first. So here we go. Spin number one. Oh, it'd be nice if these are a little tight. Let me make sure these are all tight. We don't want any parts flying around. Okay. It's always good to check these once in a while. All right, they're good to go. All right, so here we go. Good luck. All right, $5 in a spin. No worries. You still got two more spins. So you got $5 so far. Two spins still. See, look, 5. $20. See, 20. So you got 25 so far. We spin it one more time. $5 in a spin. So we're at 30. Got one more spin. I hope it's a good one. So we're at $30. $20. So you got $50. So, hey, $50 is nice, man. So good for you, man. Good for you. $50. So email me, dontony@dontony.com, and I'll hook you up. So good for Sam. I'm glad he got it. I kind of, you know what? Franklin Tangelo, email me, dontony@dontony.com. Any wrestling shirt, any promotion, any wrestler, it could be AEW, it could be anything, any podcast, it could even be somebody I don't like. And because I kept you in a little suspense, even though I had a feeling that the answer was wrong, I'll send you something too. So anyway, good deal. Let's put the wheel back. Keep it back there for 2 weeks. Oh, 1 week. There we go. So I guess we could start wrapping this up soon. AEW's rating. 1.1 million viewers. 1,104,000. Sam says, keep it and make you a member. There's no way for me to add you as a member. I'll tell you what. Sign up, and I'll still PayPal you the money. And that'll give you like membership for pretty much a year. If you want to do that, that's cool. But as far as the AEW rating goes, 1.1 million is a decent number. It's a decent number. Went down 150,000. I think that was expected with Mike Tyson, making a special appearance last week. I just wish people out there would just accept the rating. If you're a big AEW fan, enjoy it, and that's it. To always have to add like extra to it, like, that takes guts from AEW to have, Darby Allin versus Jungle Boy to close out a Dynamite. That takes guts. And I'm saying to myself, but what the fuck with John Silver? Nothing against John Silver, but what was Darby Allin versus John Silver? People just shut up. It was a good rating. There's no need to put this out. Well, that's daring. On Tony. Look, Kenny Omega hasn't wrestled the 2 weeks that they've been unopposed, and neither has Jon Moxley, and neither has Eddie Kingston. And I'm saying to myself, that's happened many times when they were still having NXT on Wednesday. People they always got to find something. Like I said, I'm sorry for sounding like a jerk, but everybody, I think, agrees with me. If the Derek Chauvin verdict would have been on Wednesday, and that rating came out, you would have had a lot of established websites saying the rating went down likely because of all the news coverage of Derek Chauvin found guilty of all charges. Because on January 6th, they tried to pull that shit, and they tried to pull it on other Wednesdays as well. So it was a decent rating. Tomorrow, I will do the quarter-hour breakdown for NXT and for AEW. For some of you out there who are thinking that some people's numbers weren't all that spectacular, yeah, you're pretty much right. I don't think there's going to be much in the surprise department. I think on NXT, you might be a little bit surprised. But some of the usual suspects that I always talk about that have very disappointing numbers, you'll see. You'll see tomorrow. Let me give 2 shout-outs. Jay Carlos. Why people are WWE wrestlers disliking Mark Carrano. There are rumors flying around that Mark Carrano was behind the shipments of the gear of the released wrestlers being shipped in garbage bags. That's what some are saying here tonight. Obviously, since it's coming in while the show is going on, there's no way for me to check, email some people, DM some people to see, how much of it is true. I will find out. Maybe I'll know as early as tomorrow. I'll let you know. On Monday, I'm hoping we get AJ Styles and Omos back on TV. Now, you know me, I don't like throwing dirt out there, especially when it comes to COVID. But I will tell you that if you start seeing people making claims about a certain individual being off TV the last 2 weeks because of it's COVID related, I'm just preparing you. Expect to start hearing that. It's not an exclusive. It's not breaking news. It's just someone trying to put 2 and 2 together, and they think, oh my God, it equals 4. Breaking news. So AJ Styles and Omos should be back on Monday. Not saying that they're actually going to wrestle. Maybe AJ Styles does, but we should see them back on Monday. SmackDown tomorrow, I don't know what to expect. I did see that interview that Daniel Bryan did where he felt detached from the WrestleMania main event. Look, I like Daniel Bryan. What an inspirational story. What a likable guy. I mean, everything about him you can't help, but I'm just saying to myself, how does that look in the fans' eyes that he was added to the main event of WrestleMania and cutting these passionate, insane promos, and WrestleMania is not even buried yet, and he's like, oh, I felt detached during the match. That's like somebody that gets married and the wedding is not even a month old, and one of the spouses says, I don't know, I just didn't feel anything different. I feel like I was before I got married. It doesn't make everybody else feel. I think, honestly, even if Daniel Bryan felt that, just my opinion as a human being, shut up. I thought that was a little bit inappropriate. I mean, he has every right to say it. He busted his ass, put on a great performance. But if he starts going out there cutting promos that he should still take on Roman Reigns, you might feel detached again. Who the fuck wants somebody in a main event that feels detached? I don't know. No, Tony, I don't think it's a storyline. I don't think it's a storyline. Not at all. Pineapplapataypotamus. I got the name right. By the way, I know this has nothing to do with the show or Pineapple's question. Pineapple Plat. Instead of Pineapple Pete, Pineapple Plat. I got today, somebody sent me a case as a gift. Coca-Cola came out with coffee soda. Now, once in a while, you all ask me, like, what's my favorite food, my favorite drink, what was my favorite cereal, what do I like this or like that. One of my favorite drinks growing up was a coffee soda called Manhattan Special. I don't know if anybody out there has ever had it. The yellow bottle, the gold label or whatever, Manhattan Special was incredible. I used to drink liters of it, not realizing the amount of caffeine that's in it because it's more than just regular soda. I'd be bouncing off the walls. But Manhattan soda I was addicted to back in the day. So Coca-Cola came out with a coffee soda, and they have a regular. I can't have sugar, but they came out with Coke Zero version. They have a regular version and they have a vanilla version. So someone sent me a case of the regular version, and I had it today, and I was going to drink one during the show tonight. It is outstanding. I went on Amazon to try to buy it, and they're almost impossible to find. But if any of you out there is into like coffee soda, I haven't tried the one with sugar, and I probably won't. But the Coke Zero version, it's outstanding. It's outstanding. So I'm just sharing it just in case. Just in case. So, Pineapple, did I check out the book you recommended? I'm not going to lie to you, I have not yet, because since last week, there was just a lot of things going down over here, and like I said, not making excuses, but tomorrow I have, this very important CAT scan and ultrasound. This weekend, I'm going to be kicking back and relaxing. Me and my fiance are probably going to watch Mortal Kombat on Saturday, and over the weekend, I'm going to check that out. So I promise you do not need to super chat me next week. I will definitely bring it up. But, look, I definitely feel that some people do have superpowers, but I think it's adrenaline related. Because if you hear stories, and I actually saw a story about this a couple of months ago where somebody got stuck under a car, and some lady literally was able to pull the car up enough so this person could get freed from the tire. Now, this ain't no Otis or Mark Henry shit. This is a regular person, a female. And I'm not trying to get sexist here, but it's pretty much science that female, as far as the anatomy, their bodies, they're smaller than men. But, when you get adrenaline like that, you get this straight. Look at the George Floyd trial of Derek Chauvin. When you had the defense trying to make it seem like, when you have like adrenaline like that, when he's trying to resist, like you get this unbelievable strength, and it's almost hard to, they're actually correct with that. But in the case of George Floyd, that wasn't the case. That was someone who was just paranoid, wasn't trying to assault cops or anything like that. But I believe there is truth to, as far as having an adrenaline rush and getting this extra strength that you just didn't even know that you had. And, you see it sometimes with crisis. Somebody will be able to do something, and there's really almost no explanation behind it. So, believe me when I tell you, I definitely do want to check out that book. So, I will. I'm very curious. You got me curious with it now. Crystal Pepsi sucked. I had Crystal Pepsi back in the day. Crystal Pepsi sucked. There was another, what sucked too? Zima. Does anybody remember Zima? You all want a good laugh? Go on YouTube and just type in Zima commercials. Me and my friends drank Zimas based off of the commercials. We went to bars and we drink Zimas thinking that we were going to get like a herd of girls to hang out with us. You know, can I have a Zima? And we felt like goofs after. We were drinking Zima. Zima. It doesn't even sound like a drink. Zima. You want to see something funny? Tony, I did watch a little bit of WWE's Most Wanted Treasures. You know, they're fun shows. I like the Mick Foley stuff. You know, they're fun shows. I mean, I've seen things like this over the years. I'll never forget that really obsessed Hulk Hogan fan that tattooed Hogan to his entire body and stuff. I can't remember his name. In fact, some of the guys I used to do shows with interviewed that. Anybody remember his name? He's pretty famous. He was so obsessed with Hulk Hogan that, personally, if I was Hulk Hogan, I wouldn't have met him. I would have been like, somebody tattoos his whole body to himself. There's something creepy about that. You know, I could understand getting a cool tattoo, maybe on your arm, your leg, you know, but your whole body. I mean, you have intercourse with someone, and that person's like facing the other way, and it looks like they're banging Hogan. I don't remember his name. As soon as somebody says his name, I'll be like, yep, that's him. You probably could go on Google and just type in, you know, obsessed Hulk Hogan fan, and his name will pop up. His name was not Carlos. Definitely not Carlos. As soon as I think it was like Edward or something. I can't remember. Just type in obsessed Hulk Hogan fan, and his name will come out. As soon as you mention the name, it'll be like, that's him. There's an infamous picture. I can't post pictures here now. I'll show you, maybe tomorrow. Actually, I will show you tomorrow. There's an infamous photo of this guy, bareback, showing a picture of Hulk Hogan tattooed to his body. And he had, like, flab around his midsection, like a big spare tire. And it's hilarious because Hulk Hogan looks like an apple. I'm not kidding. Somebody will pull up the name. Charlie Conway. Derek Chauvin, my thoughts on it, he deserves guilty on all three counts. I think 20 to 30 years is still very realistic for him. I know some people are saying 40, but I think if he ends up with good behavior, I think 20 to 30 years is probably what's going to end up happening. I don't think you're going to get like a 5 or a 10-year term. That's not happening. Like I said, this guy, you watch the video, I mean, just sitting through those 9 minutes is painful. I mean, it's terrible. But even after he stopped talking and you knew that he had deceased, and this motherfucker still didn't take the knee off of the guy's neck, it's like the guy went into a different world. I mean, this guy, there's no explanation. And when that woman, who's apparently an EMS worker or something, that tried to intervene, and I think she was like put aside or pushed away or something like that, I don't think he intended to kill this guy, but you could tell that the more that crowd was telling him, get your knee off of him, he looked like he dug it in even more. He had no regard to life. And again, you're, as a police officer, are hired to serve and protect. Serve your community. And serve your community. And when someone is on, especially on narcotics, because they all thought he was on drugs, George Floyd. They thought he was on meth or something. The fact that you think that he's on something and you still put your knee in the guy's neck for 9.5 minutes and then try to say, oh, carbon monoxide, bad heart, meth, drugs, cholesterol, you know, this and that. Oh, if he was talking, that means he was breathing. This guy, depraved indifference, is that what it's called? Derek Chauvin had no humanity in him at all. Depraved indifference. Didn't give a shit. You know, it was unintentional, but the fact that he's in total control and all he had to do was take his knee off. even for a few seconds. George Floyd tries to resist, run away, this and that, and you got to put your knee back on his back or something like that, okay. But to hear this guy beg like that, and to see all these people, and him, he's just rocking the knee, like he deserves it. He deserves it. He deserves to rot in jail. I hope he dies in jail. I hope he gets the shit knocked out of him in jail. And, you know, the most important thing, like I said, I've been saying this for a while, right? For a while, that every cop needs to have a body cam. And if that body cam somehow comes off and it seems intentional, suspension. If it comes off accidental, warning. And trust me, if anybody knows anything about body cams, it is very difficult for a body cam to accidentally fall off. And the fact that this guy's body cam came off seems a little bit suspect, you know. But the thing also is, everybody out there has got to still with the cell phones. Keep recording. You see somebody doing something, and you don't just whip it out because it's a cop. You see anybody doing something, you got to record. You got to record. You got to record. Because, like I say to this day, imagine if there was no cell footage of what happened. Imagine if there was no body cam footage of what happened. They could have created any story they wanted, and it would have just been written off that this guy tried to resist and, you know, had a heart attack, and that's the end of it. So, you know, video is the game changer. It's a game changer. It just, you know, but this, like I said earlier tonight, this atmosphere, this environment, politicians, athletes, celebrities, blue check marks, news reporters, not one of them is trying to bring anybody together. Nobody is trying to calm down this climate. Everybody is trying to pin it on someone, and you're creating more hatred. That's what it's coming down to. You have millions of people who hate cops already. And what happened with that 16-year-old girl is a tragedy. But if the cops would have done nothing, there's a good chance that that girl that was wearing a pink would have died. And then what would have been? Oh, the cop paused because of other stuff going on. You can't win in that situation. And you have people who feel that life is worthless right now. You got COVID, no school, no work, no money coming in, bad neighborhood, and then every cop is corrupt, and every white person is privileged, and, you know, every black person is, you know, being held back in a set. All you're doing is just creating more hatred, more tension, more chaos. You know, we just need to treat each other like you want to be treated. It's not rocket science. It sucks. It really sucks. In my lifetime, I've never seen it like this. Never seen it like this, where even where they're teaching in schools now, some of this shit that in kindergarten, I mean, that's whacked out, man. It's disturbing. Thank you, Devin M. Thank you. My appointment tomorrow is at 1:45. I'm supposed to drink this stuff like 2 hours before. And, you know, we'll see what happens. I won't get the results until next week. I think my doctor's appointment next week is Wednesday. So I probably won't know until then. But, you know, we'll see what happens. But, yeah, you would think, everyone, you would think, you know, George Floyd, he'll never get justice. He's still dead. He'll never get justice. His family got some justice. The cop has been held accountable. You got to keep sending the message, you know, that this is unacceptable. But to turn around and try to label every cop as bad and racist, I mean, you're just creating a climate. You know, let's be honest, everyone. If I was up to no good and I felt like cops were not going to show up because of all this stuff going on, I might be more inclined to commit more criminal acts because I think I'll get away with it. And if I'm someone that has no regard for cops whatsoever and have nothing to lose, and I'm being fed over and over again that every cop in this world is bad, you know, even more. You're just creating more tension and more anger. And then it just, you see, everybody's just piling up on it. And yes, every bad cop needs to be exposed, needs to be held accountable. There definitely needs to be changes. Like I said, it should be mandatory that there's body cams, that every cop, their information should be public record. I'm not talking about their home address, but if they do, they have complaints, community complaints. This cop pulled me over and he harassed me. That should be available on a website that people could look up an officer's name and see his history. And if you see somebody on the force and he's got a 10 or a 15-year history and he's got community complaint, community complaint, community complaint, community complaint, even if they end up in favor of the officer every time, then somebody could make a little news story saying, wow, this person is on the force and he's got 15 community complaints against him. And then this guy becomes the center of attention. You know, this guy might say, fuck, I don't want to, and he might take the extra step to maybe change his shit a little bit. You know, there are things that could be done, like a registry, like Charlie said. There's things that could be done, but you cannot keep this hatred and tension. It's disgusting. And the news broadcast out there, like what NBC did yesterday, they weren't sorry. All these broadcasts are doing everything they can to generate big ratings. They don't report all of the kids that get killed in New York or Chicago and other areas every week. They don't report any of that unless a white person does it or a cop, because that generates ratings. And these broadcasts, you should have learned that with Trump, that all his Russia hoax, and, you know, when there was reports that Russia was paying people in Pakistan to take out our officers, and that was a big part of the debate, and ends up it was a lie. Then you see this stuff with the virus. They want to keep all this dramatic shit with the virus. People are fully vaccinated. All you got to do is ask one question. If I'm fully vaccinated, what's the percentage in the studies that I could catch COVID again? And if I get COVID again, what's the percentage of me giving it to someone else? Nobody asked that question, because the minute someone's forced to give that answer and you realize, like I said yesterday, and if you think it's wrong, look it up. I looked it up because I don't follow politics anymore, and I don't like this Rand Paul. I don't like anybody in politics right now. But this guy Rand Paul said something yesterday that fascinated me. He said that about 6,000 or 6,500 people have gotten COVID after being fully vaccinated. Now, a good portion of them are people who didn't have their Freedom Day yet, which means that they got COVID within the 2 weeks of the second shot. But he made the claim that of the 150 million vaccinated, or even worldwide, do you know how many of those 6,000 or 6,500 who caught COVID again after being fully vaccinated, you know how many of them died? How many of them went to the hospital? Or I should rephrase that. Who ended up being admitted to the hospital in serious condition? Those 6 people with the Johnson & Johnson, what started to come out? These 2 are on birth control medicine. These other 2 are on a different medicine. On the questionnaire, they ask you, are you taking other medications? And in every case except for 2, they put down no. They're not taking other medications. Or their doctor didn't tell them, you know, you're taking this birth control, yeah, be a little careful with this, or maybe you shouldn't do this, or maybe you should go off the birth control, this and that. So they want to keep this going as long as they can because of the money, the power, the control, everything like that. And again, if people who are vaccinated, if somebody says you don't have to wear the mask anymore, all chaos is going to break out, because you're going to go out in the public and there's going to be a ton of people not wearing a mask, and they're going to say, I'm vaccinated. I don't need to wear a mask anymore. And what's going to happen? A lot of other people who are not vaccinated are going to see everybody else without a mask and be like, fuck this. They take the mask off too. So what happens? People who are not vaccinated could elevate the COVID numbers again. That's just a fact. So they want everybody to keep the mask on. So until more people get vaccinated. That's it. Simple as that. Jay Carlos, not every cop is a bad cop. He's currently in Jersey training to be an officer. The first thing they teach you is to make sure everyone is safe, and it doesn't matter the race. I believe that, man. I believe that. You know, can you imagine if a police officer showed up at every incident that has happened with the gang violence in Chicago or in Portland or in Minneapolis or in New York City, and then you hear shots fired? There'd be a lot more killings, and it would probably be at the hands of the officers. And each time that happens, based on what you see now, the officers are blamed. There's a lot of bad cops. There is. It's a very small number, but there are a lot of bad cops. But they're creating a climate that every police officer out there has bad intentions. And that gets dangerous. That's when people just walk up to a cop, pow, and just blow their brains out. And you're going to see innocent people getting hurt for no reason. Look, I didn't vote for Trump last year. I'm not a big fan of Trump anymore. But when you paint that every person wearing a MAGA hat is a racist, what happens? MAGA people get the shit knocked out of them for no reason at all, simply for wearing a hat. Asian people, Chinese people, because the virus started from China. You have innocent people from China getting assaulted all across the country. And they have nothing to do with the virus, and they're being blamed for it. Just replace China virus with MAGA. And you see what happens when you create a climate that everybody is blamed. I didn't like that they kept using the China virus term, because it originated from China. We're not stupid. In 1910, 20, whatever it was with the Spanish flu, it was on the news, Spanish flu, but it wasn't done in a way where everybody in the country were trying to it's your fucking fault, Carlos. It's your fucking fault, Jose. Yo, it's your fucking fault, Gloria. No, but the way it was presented the last 2 years, year and a half, that it's China's fault. China. So everybody's from China. You start taking it out on everybody. 1919. So we got to stop bundling everyone, because I know a lot of cops that are good people. I know a few that the power went to their head. Absolutely. I know people who are black that are the nicest people in the world, and I know a few who are pretty much an asshole. I have people from my neighborhood, white people, that would give any person the shirt off their back if it could help someone. And then I know some other people out there who are racist as fuck. The point is that in every culture, every job, every nationality, you're never going to wipe out racism. You can't read what's in someone's heart. The only way the climate changes is when you remove the hatred in someone's heart. It's like a dog. You keep kicking a dog and kicking a dog and kicking a dog and treating a dog like shit and treating the dog like shit. The dog is going to just not trust anybody, and it's going to just attack. And you see sometimes these Twitter videos where somebody grabs a dog, neglected, and the dog, and then they show soft music. Oh, we clean him up. We shampooed him. We gave him a treat. We gave him a toy. Now look at the dog playing and licking everybody and this and that. That's not that far off of just treating people, not treating them like shit. It's just human nature. You treat someone like you want to be treated. Plain and simple. That's how I was brought up. Treat your neighbor as your equal. Doesn't matter what color they are. It doesn't matter what nationality. Sure, over the years, things have changed as far as, relationships go. 20, 30 years ago, it would be a lot different. My friend who is gay, when we were young, he dated women. And, he revealed later on that he had to hide, his attraction to men, and thought it was just a phase, and dated one woman for a very long time. We thought they were the perfect couple. They broke up, and then, as the years went by, he started coming around with this guy friend of his. And, there was no hints of anything. It was just, friend. He just hung out, neighborhood. We all hung out with friends. And then a little bit more. And then we found out. We thought he was bisexual. And that's how he painted it across. But then, later on, he had a very serious conversation and revealed that he was always attracted to men. And to this day, I don't want to say his name. We'll just use the name John. But to this day, John is just John. That's all it is. Anybody that's on Patreon, you've seen that Stanley video. I got a friend of mine who is a Jamaican. Dreadlocks, everything. And we had no intention on doing this. But legit, true story, about 2.5 years ago, he was at my office. He's got insurance with me. He was at my office. He's been to my house. He's been to my parents' house. Wonderful guy. And he details for a living. Some of you may know some of the story already. Washes cars, waxes, boats, planes, does all of it. So he was in my office about 2.5 years ago, and customer came in. And he overheard our conversation, and the customer heard that this guy details cars. So my customer had a Jeep. So he said, how much would you charge to do my Jeep? And this guy, Stanley, says, let me take a look. So they go downstairs to look at the Jeep. The guy's wife worked in one of the stores at the time. And I didn't know what happened. They went downstairs. He went to look at the Jeep. I stood in my office. About 5 minutes later, this guy, Stanley, comes back in, and I said, did you get a customer? And he said to me, he goes, man, you got some racist people in this neighborhood. I said, what the fuck happened? He told me what happened. And I said to him, Stanley, let's have a conversation. And I said, I took out the phone, had no intention on doing this. I said, let's tell everybody what just happened. Just to talk as friends, to show him and I, we're good friends. And it doesn't matter we're black and white, but still, any situation. And it was a very, very sad story. That woman got fired. What happened was, I didn't say what happened. My customer went downstairs with this guy and started showing him the Jeep. The guy's wife, the customer's wife, who worked in the shopping center, she looked out the window and saw this Jamaican guy, Stanley, around the Jeep. She didn't see her husband. She runs out of the store. Get the fuck away from my husband's car. And he's like, ma'am, I don't kick it. And she fucking went off on him. She thought he was breaking into his car or something. Now, granted, that could have been anybody, any skin color could have been anybody. But the way she went off on this guy, it was simply because Jamaican. She made some comments about, what are you doing in this neighborhood, this and that. So he and I had a conversation. I wanted him to open up, to get it off his chest, to vent. And we had a very serious conversation about race that day. And that person got fired. He didn't want protests, didn't complain to anybody, only talked to me. And I said, Stanley, this is unacceptable. And I called the store and I said, look, I told them what happened, and the owner said, say no more. She was fired. That's it. The guy doesn't have insurance with me anymore, but Stanley still is. I'm still with him. He's still with my office, and we're friends. And if you're ever on my Patreon, I don't know if I would put the video on YouTube. Maybe I would do it privately, because I don't know if that's something I really would want floating around like that, only because he's just a regular everyday guy. If I'm going to promote his business, that's one thing. Maybe he'll get some customers out of it. But it's, just something where you realize, how it could happen in any given time, in any given neighborhood. Doesn't matter if it's white to black or black to white. But at the end of the day, you just got to treat people like you want to be treated. And that's, I think, the message that Stanley and I came across in the video. We know each other for 20 years. And like I said, he's been to my house, my parents' house. Nobody looked at him as some Jamaican guy, that washes cars. Ma, Dad, this is a friend of mine, Stanley. He's going to detail the cars. We're going to hang out. And we spent the day. He had lunch. My mom bought us lunch. We washed cars, hung out by the beach a little bit, and just talked. Wonderful man. And simply because he was going to talk to someone about detailing a car, what's this Jamaican guy doing next to my husband's Jeep? Yeah, Charlie. Very similar to the Central Park woman. Very similar to that. Again, it was so disturbing. And I don't know why I recorded it. I didn't do it to get patrons because I didn't advertise it. I just posted it. Here, everybody. Here's a conversation. Italian white guy, Jamaican guy. What's the incident that just happened? And it clicked with a lot of people. Wasn't manufactured. It wasn't sensationalized. It was just two guys talking about how different we are and how bad some people have it. And I give that man credit because he keeps his head up, he deals with it, and he tries to make the best of a bad situation. Somebody's a little late to the game. Rain Entertainment. Yeah, we talked about the Mickie James stuff a little bit earlier. I don't want to recap it again, but just summarize. Somebody in WWE sent all the wrestlers who were released their items in garbage bags. And, it does look very disrespectful. Stephanie McMahon apologized to Mickie James. Triple H also posted that the employee that did that has been fired, but there was no apology in Triple H's explanation. In defense of Triple H, him and Stephanie posted it at the same time, so there was an apology. But the thing is, like I said, I don't know the story behind it. Some reports are going around that Mark Carrano was involved with that. I don't know. It looks terrible to have your stuff arrive in a garbage bag. But like I said earlier also, if you're shipping out somebody's belongings inside a FedEx box, I could understand why somebody would put it in a bag first to protect it inside the box. And garbage bag was not the smartest choice, but at the same time, you're not going to treat it like a Christmas gift and wrap everything in tissue paper and nice and this and that. So, I wish if it was just thrown in there like garbage, I wish Mickie James would have revealed a little bit more of what was inside. I saw the other video with the tights, the wrestling outfit sticking out of it. But again, if it was just clothes put inside a bag, I have back in the day gone to a laundromat where I throw all my clothes and I know it's dirty, but I put it in a, tall kitchen bag and bring it to the laundromat. If it was done to line a box, I don't think there was malicious intent. But if it is true that Mark Carrano was involved with this and that's why he got fired, then it could be something else where, I can picture, like I said, the scenario where Mark Carrano instructed someone to empty out the lockers of these people who are released and send them their belongings. And that person could have said to Mark Carrano, what do I put this in? All I have is garbage bags. Yeah, put it in garbage bags. Throw it out. Do whatever you want. Like, if you have that attitude, then yeah, he should have been fired. But if someone just did it to line a box, I don't think there was malicious intent to it. But we'll see. We'll see. Either way, for a lot of them who were released, it feels like a knife in the chest. And then when you get your stuff thrown in a garbage bag with a Post-it note on it, it feels like someone is just digging a little bit further. And that's terrible. It's terrible. Zelion says that WWE could have had duffel bags available. Yeah, you're right. You're right. They could have definitely gone about this differently. But I will say this, again, I'm sorry for repeating myself from earlier. Maria Kanellis, I'm a big fan of Maria's. On my show with Mish, I've defended Maria many times. You really cannot find me dissing Maria. But for Maria to come out tonight and say, yeah, my stuff was sent back in a trash bag too, I think she should shut up. And simply because Maria Kanellis and Mike Kanellis have talked about every negative experience they had with WWE in recent memory. They've been very outspoken, and I don't blame them for being upset. But if Maria was truly upset about having her stuff sent in a garbage bag, she would have talked about it, 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 posted a picture of it, talked about it. She never brought it up. Never brought it up. No one else that got their garbage bags posted a picture either. No one else seemed to have gotten offended. Now they'll probably be offended because of all the attention Mickie James got. So I think that there's more to this story. Like I said, social media, if you notice, I don't post much anymore. I don't post on Facebook. Be lucky to see me post one tweet a week, maybe two, and it's usually my stuff to promote. But I don't socialize on social media. Joey Numbers removed his account entirely. And I'm this close of doing the same. The only reason why I don't is because, you don't get alerts on YouTube a lot. So sometimes I'll post a little announcement here and there on Twitter. But that environment on social media is so toxic and disgusting. And people use anything to throw darts at others. The evil Vince McMahon, this is just... And Twitter, once again, good for Twitter. They saw everybody having conniptions over this. So they put you saw it tonight, they put on the right side, trending. Fans in an uproar because Mickie James gets a care package in a trash bag. Care package? Care package is what you send to someone in the military with toothpaste and snacks and toilet paper and soap. That's a care package. It wasn't a care package. It was her belongings. She got fired. Can I get my belongings? No, we'll ship it to you. That's what it was. And Twitter just put it up there to get more attention because that's how they make money, right off the people's backs. And then you get the lonely losers that, this is no big deal, everybody, but they'll tweet 15 times about it, But that's pretty much the deal. Joey Numbers is the co-host with Mish for Wrestling Soup. So I want to get Joey on here once in a blue moon. Mish told me that him and Joey are soon going to be moving on to video. So, obviously, almost everybody and their mother does video now. So, I will always give an audio-only option, but, my move to video is permanent, and I want to build on it, and I want to expand even further with it. So, when he is ready to go on video, I definitely want to bring him on here once in a while. So, we are going to be doing guests, absolutely. You probably tuned in a little bit late today, but I downloaded Zoom. And I know for some of you out there, you'd be like, oh, wow, you're big. You downloaded Zoom. Whoa. And I'm being sarcastic. No, but I set up the package where I could have like 100 people on. And next week, I have a list of things that I'm going to do. And one of them is to learn the software to host like these big AEW type heel deals. And then once in a while, we're all going to get together. Maybe we'll do it during a pay-per-view where you'll see a ton of people's heads on the screen and we'll all have conversations. And then from time to time, I will have guests on the podcast co-hosting with me. I'll have, obviously Mish, but there's a few other podcasts out there that we've been talking about doing an episode here and there together. So, some of them already have video and they're good to go, but I want to get some overlays made up. You're going to see some tweaks on the channel probably as early as next week. I have someone teaching me, you see like this overlay Q&A with Don Tony. It's nice and everything, but I'm going to have more things made up. Someone offered, no charge, offered to make a graphic of me, because a lot of podcasts, they have their own logo. I don't really have a logo. Like, you have some caricatures of my face and this and that, but I have no real logo. So someone stepped up and offered to do that for me. So I haven't seen the finished product yet, but from what I see so far, it looks fucking spectacular. So little by little, we'll build. Little by little. No reason for me to rush. And again, I'm not trying to compete with bigger channels out there. I know a lot of people out there like to compare my numbers to theirs, but the fact of the matter is, some of those podcasts out there that have much bigger numbers, they don't give you an audio only option. The only option you have is YouTube. That's it. 75, I think the current number is 77% of everybody who enjoys my shows only access audio only, believe it or not. I'm starting to get into the analytics a little bit more to see, I noticed the age demographic. I don't expect a lot of you out there to reveal your age. If you want to do it, by all means. But here's a little fact. When I first started doing video, for the first 2 months, the biggest age demographic I had here was, I think, 50 and above, or 54 and above. It was 50 and above. Now, my biggest age demographic here is 25 to 34. 25 to 34. 91% male, 9% female, but at 25 to 34 is the biggest age demographic here for my shows. So when I first started, the biggest demographic was 50 and over. And I was fine with that, but I was surprised. And then you start seeing the age demographic going a little lower, little lower, little lower. And, I actually thought that was pretty cool. But, but like I said, some of these bigger channels, they only offer you video only. They don't give you an audio only option. If I got rid of my audio only option, of course my numbers would significantly increase here. But I want people to have convenience. I don't want to force people to go only one route. I give options, and I will always do that. I see some people posting some ages here. That's pretty much, 25 to 34 is the big one. I think 35 to 44 is the second big one. And it's interesting, the 12 to 18 is 10%, which I don't know if that's a good thing. That's why I try to keep the cursing down sometimes. But I really, like I said, I could care less about demos. I care about numbers. And, it's nice to talk about demos. When you read today that AEW finished second for the night on Wednesday, that's not true. They finished second for the night for the 18 to 34 demographic. But overall, they were 20th. People want to focus on that. And again, the only people that should be focusing on demos is the wrestling companies, the TV networks, and the advertisers. And the wrestlers, because if they're not drawing good numbers, that obviously is an issue. But people choosing specific demographics, that's, they're just trying to twist the numbers that make them look the best. So, yeah, I do say bad words from time to time. But, anyway, I've been running 2 hours and 40 minutes. Oh, one last thing. I got to definitely post this. Good for Kyle O'Reilly. I said it yesterday, and Kyle O'Reilly said it almost word for word. And I brought up yesterday Kyle O'Reilly's love for going a little bit of 80s and retro. He's always had that style about him. And Orange Cassidy isn't the first person to wear a denim jacket with a t-shirt. And Kyle O'Reilly wrote this today. Thank you, Internet, for informing me No one else on the planet Earth is allowed to wear a denim jacket ever again. My goal in wrestling has always been to be my authentic, quirky, self-maintaining, my artistic integrity and originality. Can we all at least appreciate this cute vintage t-shirt I had on? My dear friend, John, found this gem in a St. Louis thrift shop in 2015, and I've been waiting years to finally wear it on TV. My focus is on being the one and only Kyle O'Reilly, and guess what? You don't have to love me. All I ask is that you love wrestling. And that's what the shirt is based on. So good for him, man. Good for him. You know, I thought it was so ridiculous, people comparing it to Orange Cassidy. That just shows you the shallowness of a lot of people out there. There's a lot of people that are dead serious about that, too. So good for Kyle O'Reilly. Good for Kyle O'Reilly. So, but yeah, I wanted to share that, too, before we go. So anyway, I'm going to jet out of here. As I always say, if you enjoyed the show tonight, where is it? Here it is. Hit that like button, like, share, subscribe. The more you do that, the more YouTube recommends this show to others. I appreciate it more than you know. And if you're around tomorrow night, 10:05 p.m. Eastern, I will be here. I'll let you know how the ultrasound CAT scan went. But I will cover SmackDown. We will get into the AEW NXT quarter-hour ratings. I will get into predictions for Impact Rebellion because a lot of you actually asked for that, so I'll be more than happy to oblige. I think we will see a few title changes going down this weekend. And anything else that transpires, maybe we'll get an update about Mark Carrano too. I'll try to get a little bit of answers for that. So, and yeah, Sam, you could DM me on Twitter. That's fine. I'll hook you up there. I'll get you done tonight as well. And again, don't forget, next Thursday, mark it down. Mish will be joining me right here for Q&A, and that'll be interesting. So, get your questions ready, pick his brain, and it doesn't have to be wrestling. You should know that by now. And we'll do another contest next week, and maybe next week, somebody will choose the Bischoff signed tights. Would have been hilarious if we got a picture of him wearing them. I don't think I would want to see that, but I think it would be hilarious if he was wearing them. But I will keep them right there. And, maybe we'll come up with a couple of more surprises next week. So much love, everyone. Thank you, as always, for the support. Be well. If I don't see you tomorrow, have a great weekend. And I'll catch you all again soon. So much love, everybody. Have a great night. Ciao. Thanks, everybody. I know you could still hear me. I'm going to disconnect. So you all be well. Take care.